What's happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from NoleGameday.com. We are here live on a wonderful, fantastic Wednesday evening. And ladies and gentlemen, we're only now less than 48 hours. I shouldn't say 45 hours, 48 hours. We're getting closer. I mean, the team would be hitting the field around this time to hit some warm-ups and such. So we're 48 hours away from kickoff on a Friday night for Florida State's first ACC game of the season, and also first road game. We are going to preview this game. We're also going to talk about some injury updates. Florida State and Virginia will be giving out their first ever injury report. We'll have that live on the show in this episode for you guys. We also got some comments from Tommy Castellanos. I shouldn't say last night. It was really early this morning at midnight when he got on with SportsCenter. We've got the quotes and how he feels he's going to play going into this Virginia game and his playing status. We've also got some uniforms that Virginia is going to be rocking going into this game. We're also going to jump into some conversation of NFL Noles. And then we are going to give our score predictions for this game, some keys to winning, and kind of look ahead also at the landscape of college football as Florida State is showing that they might be a team to compete with to make a postseason run. With me this evening is Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at NoleGameday.com. And to the other side is our lead basketball writer, Austin Veazey, who just had a good time up in Minnesota for what was an ass whooping for the Vikings.
Yeah, it was awesome to be there for that. It was my first time back in Minnesota for a game in like 7 or 8 years. That stadium is just gorgeous. It's so cool.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is amazing. The fans are amazing. And yeah, my dad and I are looking at each other 17-3. Like, if the Bengals get a score here, this might get a little interesting. They get the ball coming out at half. And then 2 minutes later, it's 34-3. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I'm 3-0 in that stadium now. Vikings, just pay for me to fly up there every weekend and we'll go undefeated. That's how I see it.
You had a good weekend. Buccaneers pulled out a win. Commanders pulled out a win. So it was a nice Sunday all around for the crew on here. But, good to be back ahead of Florida State's first road game. Should be an interesting one up there in Charlottesville, especially Friday night. Things can always get a little bit wacky, and you got two of the better offenses in the country going at it. So we'll see how it plays out.
I will say someone's going to be upset on Sunday because the Vikings play the Steelers. So
I did not know. I did not think of that at all.
This weekend overseas, 9:30 a.m.
Maybe during our watch party on Friday night that we'll be having for the FSU Virginia game. Maybe we'll throw in a little sleeper picks in there. Why not? Which we'll be making some later on in this episode as well. But like you said, D-Lou, should be entertaining all around, explosive wise and offenses on Friday night. I don't know. I had some time today in between practice and some interviews for the Bucks, and I got to sit back and watch some film on Virginia. So interested to get y'all's thoughts too, as well, on what you think Florida State's keys are to winning this in just 48 hours. But I say we start off with number one, and it's the theme of the show this evening, and it's Tommy Castellanos. So we know that he got banged up in that game against Kent State, got rolled up on and hobbled off the field. We saw him go, later on into the locker room, which was, at the last couple minutes of the first half. Then he comes back, actually jogs back onto the field. You took a video of that, Dustin, and saw him celebrating after the game as well with his teammates. And he put out an IG Live video and saying that he was fine. Everything's going to be good. And he said after the game as well in the press conference that everything's fine, but he was able to confirm last night on SportsCenter saying, I'm feeling great. I'm back to 100%, just got rolled up and all good though. So Florida State's QB1 will be playing on Friday night in Charlottesville. And as I did just by myself on the watch party live, it was just complete kind of like freak out mode, a tiny bit of goodness gracious, here we go again, where Florida State's having some bad luck with their starting quarterback due to injuries.
Yeah, definitely some PTSD at first, but it was very promising, like you said, to see Tommy run out during the second half. Then, he spoke to the media after the game, which normally isn't something happen when a guy is going through a serious injury. So, ever since Saturday evening, I would say everything's been trending towards him playing against Virginia on Friday night. And the biggest thing is how healthy is he, towards 100%? Is he going to be limited at all mobility-wise? Because obviously his dual threat ability is something that has been crucial for Florida State, especially in that Alabama game. Didn't have to see as much against East Texas A&M and Kent State, even though he scored 2 touchdowns on the ground last week. So Florida State's going to need him to be ready to go and keep this offense rolling.
Yeah, at that point, I was still watching the game in the basement of Minnesota, and you see him go down. Like, please, not again. This can't. We can't be doing this again. We have been through enough trauma with quarterback injuries against bad teams. One was enough. But yeah, it was good to see him run back out on the field. There in the second half, I guess technically that was. And yeah, just as you mentioned, everything that he said, everything that Coach Norvell said is he's going to be on track to play on Friday. It seems like. And they're going to need him. He's probably run a little too much for our liking in these last 2 games against East Texas A&M and Kent State. They're going to need him to run against Virginia because that's how the offense is most successful. Having that dual threat ability back there, if it just makes the defense think for a half second, that's a big play waiting to happen. So they really need him back there at full strength. And, it's good that he's likely going to be out there.
I would say, too, it was pretty just weird, too, because the whole team came out in the second half, but Tommy Castellanos wasn't out there, so that's why it rose even bigger of a concern. But he also mentioned on SportsCenter and gave a lot of love, I would say, for the majority, if not for the rest of that interview, Dustin, because you and I stayed up for that. He practically was just talking about the offensive line and how well they have played so far this season. This is what he said. I would say the guys up front, Coach Malzahn is calling plays and dialing it up, but those guys up front, without them, I don't think it would be possible. We've got some good guys up front, and they've been very physical, and they've been able to move bodies, and that's for damn sure so far. Yes, we saw what they were able to do against Alabama. They shocked kind of everybody about playing with more physicality and the movement that they were able to make. And then, too, of course, you want to see consistency there, and they did that in the next 2 games. But, Florida State, the way that this offensive line has been able to move, it goes to show because your running back room has had a phenomenal start to the season as well. And it doesn't seem like things are too difficult for them as well.
It's been incredible, honestly, to see this offensive line work. And, I'm sure Tommy earned some brownie points for those guys for mentioning them on that SportsCenter interview. They'll probably be playing even harder for him on Friday night against Virginia. But, just the turnaround, and you think back to what it was like a year ago to right now, it's a heck of a difference for Florida State and that starting 5. I mean, luckily they haven't had to do too much these last couple of weeks with the bye week and obviously the 2 blowout victories. But even the guys coming in behind the 5 transfers that Florida State brought over to lead that starting lineup, like the backups have played pretty well as well. And we actually saw true freshman center Chavez Thompson being named the top true freshman graded center at his position so far early on in the season. I know most of those reps came against East Texas A&M and Kent State, but I mean, that's pretty promising for his future. So I think you've got to like what this offensive line has done through 3 games. Obviously, health is very paramount as the regular season continues, but man, it's been a heck of a start.
It's a good thing about having a veteran group. Even though those guys haven't played a lot of football together, they played a lot of football elsewhere. Adrian Medley's in his 6th or 7th season. Mike Pettis played a lot of football at Ole Miss. Gunnar Hansen played a lot of football at Vanderbilt. Pettibone, played a lot of football at Wake Forest. Richie Leonard's played a lot of football in his career. That's the benefit of having guys that are veterans. They know what it's like. And yeah, they didn't get a lot of time together in the spring and summer as they were dealing with these injuries, but they've gotten up to speed probably quicker than anybody could have expected. And it's been a joy to watch them work. Now, granted, Alabama is really the only real opponent that they faced so far, and Virginia will be a different kind of test, but they were even pretty good against Alabama and that front 7. So gotta love what you're seeing there. Gotta love what you're seeing from the backups. Like Dustin was just mentioning, Thompson's been great. Some of those other guys, Jacob Rizzi, I thought has had some great flashes to where if someone gets, knock on wood, goes down, Rizzi can slide in and play a lot of those spots on that offensive line, and you feel pretty good about that. So massive turnaround from just a season ago. Alex Atkins was committing war crimes, and he will pay for those eventually. But it is good to see the offensive line playing this way.
Good. I'll let VZ take the Alex Atkins chatter for me for this episode, so I don't have to go any further because I feel like that's all I did this entire offseason. But it's true. Yeah. I mean, seeing some of these backups go in there and not look like it's a complete freak show for them and just like freaking out. There's actually good sort of like a solid line going in there after you shuffle it up, or to just having 2 or 3 deep in there. Like there's good coaching development happening, and I've been pleased with what we've seen so far from your tackles as well, with Lucas Simmons and also to Jonathan Daniels, the right tackle position, like you just mentioned too, in the interior. So there's a lot to like about that line, and you're starting to build some depth too that I think Gus Malzahn is feeling good about, because at first, before going into week 1 against Alabama, he really felt like, okay, I don't really know truly fully yet of what my starting unit is, although I think we kind of knew who that was. But I think it was more of looking for who was going to be my depth pieces, my 2 or 3 that might be able to step in when need be. But yeah, they're going to need a lot of good physical play on Friday night and moving forward throughout the rest of the season. And 2, just to think about it as well, guys, speaking of blocking and physicality, you're bringing back Randy Pittman. It's not, fully, we're going to probably see him maybe potentially on the injury report later on this evening, but still nonetheless, I think there's some high optimism from the coaching staff and things that we've been hearing that Randy Pittman will be available and will be playing on Friday night. And he went into that Alabama game dinged up. He wasn't a full 100%. You were able to see how much juice he brought and mowing down guys down the field and also creating touchdowns, which is the way that he was blocking on the outside. This offense is going to get stronger than what we saw in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and Randy Pittman now has had 4 weeks off to recover. So assuming he is able to suit up and go on Friday night and is fully healthy, I mean, he's going to be quite fresh going into this game. And like you said, Logan, with his physicality and the way it stood out against Alabama, just putting multiple defenders on their back throughout the game. And even though he only had 2 catches, I mean, he was such an important presence on that offense with what he was able to do to set up big runs for Tommy Castellanos and those running backs. So it'll be good to see him back out there against Virginia. And you got to wonder because, personally, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't think the Cavaliers have the caliber of defense as Alabama does. Could be a field show for Randy Pittman out there.
Yeah, and one of those catches against Alabama was huge on coming across the middle. And even with him coming back, he may also be getting score white back too. So this offense may be back up to basically full strength for the first time since that Alabama game. And you can argue they weren't full strength in that game because apparently Randy Pittman was pretty limited in that game. And we wouldn't have known it with how he was playing and how physical he was playing. But from everything they said, he wasn't 100%. Might be the best he's feeling all season. So to get him back, I'm looking forward to seeing him back out there on the field and putting some people on their butts a little bit. But it'll be good to have a veteran tight end back there because, as much as we want to see the potential out of Amari Williams and Landon Thomas, it's good to just have someone that knows how to play the tight end position.
And know how to play the tight end position, also has that tie with Gus Malzahn playing for him and, able to recruit him, bring him in the transfer portal to come play for Florida State and just all the things that we were hearing throughout both camps of how much they were utilizing him all across that entire offense. This just makes that side of the ball even stronger, which is sort of definitely scary because you saw what they were able to do against Alabama, not with a full 100% guy. But now with 3 weeks of rest, should be really nice. And like you just said there, VZ, Squirrel White expected to be a full go, probably could have played there against Kent State, but good to rest him. And as we've been able to see, there are some guys that would have been in that 2 deep that had to step up, like a Mekhi Danzy, that there's some guys that can step in for you if need be when there's some injuries. And what a playmaker Mekhi Danzy has been. And I'm sure we'll talk about him when we get into this Virginia preview. Now, what we need to go into first is Virginia as well, going through some injury problems too. This one more specifically on the offensive line for Virginia. This is Brady Wilson, who's a redshirt senior center for the Cavaliers. Virginia coach Tony Elliott provided an update earlier this week saying he's day-to-day, and hopefully right now it's just a calf strain. We will get that injury update later this evening. I would not be shocked, though, to see him on there. What does this mean for Florida State's defense, which, as we were talking about as we opened the show, Dustin, you were saying this is an explosive offense. This is one that is putting up a lot of points for Virginia to begin the season. But when you lose a pivotal piece, definitely with that guy of a caliber of experience, you got to start thinking Daryl Jackson night, don't you?
Yeah, it could be a big loss for Virginia if Brady Wilson is unable to go because, I mean, they've just been banged up front for the majority of the season. They had 5 offensive linemen out last week. It does sound like Ethan Sipe is going to be back in the fold this week. He's listed on the depth chart at right guard for Virginia. And whenever Brady Wilson went down in that victory against Stanford, they had right guard Drake Metcalf, who's in his first year with the program, slide over to center. And then they moved redshirt senior Kevin Wigington to right guard. So, I mean, it's really, I think Tony Elliott called it like musical chairs. I mean, they're just kind of moving guys around on that offensive line, and whoever's available will be available for the Cavaliers. But I think with some of the injuries up front for Virginia, I mean, that's definitely something that Florida State can exploit and take advantage of with that deep defensive front. And obviously for the Seminoles, I mean, hoping to get true freshman Kevin Wynn back in the fold. And you got to think Daryl Jackson, Kevin Wynn, Daniel Lyons are going to be right there lined up in front of that center a lot of the time. So if Brady Wilson isn't out there and able to go, it should be an advantage for the Seminoles.
And even if he is out there, he's given up the second most pressures on that team with 4. Calf strains are nothing to play with. We've seen it a lot in the last year, especially with NBA players, where calf strains lead into much worse injuries. They're nothing to play with.
Elijah Cansey dealt with one. Well, he's dealt with one in his first 2 years with the Bucks, where it hindered him from beginning the seasons for a couple games, and it got worse as well. But yeah, calf strains don't play games, and you usually you're going to need more than a week usually to rest. Especially
at a position like that, where you're trying to do so much at center and you're trying to leverage against someone like Darrell Jackson, who's 350 pounds. Like that's a lot of pressure to be putting on that calf. And it wouldn't be surprising at all if Virginia says, hey, we want to play this safe. We don't want to make this worse, because there's a very realistic chance it does. Knock on wood. I don't want the guy getting hurt. Even worse, obviously, but those injuries are nothing to play with. If he's not able to go, Florida State is going to be bringing pressure on the interior, no matter what. Whether it's, twists, stunts, bringing the linebackers like Stephon Thompson, Elijah Herring, they will be pressuring the middle. Even if Brady Wilson is out there, they're going to be pressuring the middle, putting as much pressure on him as possible, because that's a potential weakness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see here in just a few. I was going to bring up what these injury reports actually look like. And I know this is going to be something new for everybody involved in this, because this is what the ACC is implementing this season, but it's going to be a lot like what the NFL has, where you get those injury reports beginning today on Wednesdays, and they go all the way through until just a couple hours before kickoff on Sundays for NFL teams. But here, Florida State will be doing this a minimum of 48 hours before a kickoff. And as of right now, of course, we don't have anything listed until 8 o'clock when this release is made, but we'll be keeping a close eye on it, and we'll bring it up here on the screen for you guys while we're live. So make sure you stick with us all throughout the show this evening.
How much do you think Mike hates that he has to do that?
Say it again.
How much do you think Mike hates that he has to do that?
I'm sure every coach, but certainly Mike, I bet, does not too much of a fan of having to do that.
Yeah, he actually he spoke about it and said doesn't really matter much. Earlier
he's just gonna list everybody as questionable. That's what he's gonna do.
Yeah, he did say he expects a few guys to be listed as questionable on this availability report. So we'll see how it goes. And I know that they're going to have to release 3 different availability reports before kickoff. You'll have the one tonight at 8 p.m. Should have one on Thursday, I'm guessing about 8 p.m. And then 2 hours before kickoff on Friday.
Is this because of sports?
Yep.
Sports.
Probably.
Sports betting, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that makes sense. But I would imagine if we were to make some guesses right now, I would think likely Randy will be listed on there. Kevin Wynn likely will be on there. We'll see what Mike decides to do with Tommy. I mean, Tommy told us he's 100%. He's good to go. He might not even be on there as well.
We'll put him as probable or something.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the ones from last week, and you don't even you kind of just list the player. Do you have to even give a detail of if they're okay? So it's like a questionable, probable.
That's what I saw in there. I saw questionable, probable, and out at the ones that I was looking at for last week.
Mm-hmm. There is a comment here from Al Woody on YouTube saying, as Darrell Jackson states about Kevin Wynn, that dude is strong. And I think that's what the staff is really excited for, right? I mean, from Terrence Knight himself, they worked really hard on making sure that he stuck with his commitment, and just the way that he plays. We watched some film on him. I brought him up a little bit earlier last week, and this guy likes to move people, and he likes to be a menace. And you match that with Darrell Jackson, or maybe if you throw in Daniel Lyons in there, that kind of just opens up a lot of opportunities for guys, definitely on the outside. But for Darrell Jackson, if Kevin Wynn's able to take a big step, he's just a true freshman. But we've seen what other true freshmen on a defensive line for Florida State have already done this season. And talking about some of those Desir twins, especially Mandrell Desir. It's been very impressive from those guys, and Terrence Knight seems to be developing well with them. And we also heard a big stride that was taken from Kevin Wynn early on in that fall camp until he got dinged up with that injury right before Alabama.
Yeah, and Mike Norvell even said, Kevin Wynn was right there in the mix of that defensive line rotation before he went down with that injury. And when he is healthy and back in the lineup, they expect him to be out there and playing for Florida State in some of these important situations. So, we're going to see if he's able to go. Certainly adds another big body in what has turned out to be a deeper defensive line than we thought through the first 3 games of the season. And, it just gives Florida State that much more potential on defense and the ability to use guys in different ways. I think me and you talked about it a little bit on Monday, Logan, but the defensive line, they're not just stuck into one position. You've got guys playing on the interior who are playing on the outside. You've got guys on the outside who come down and work inside. So you can do that same type of thing, obviously, with Darrell Jackson and the athlete he is. And if you have Darrell out there on the outside, you can throw Kevin Wynn on there on the inside, have a James Williams or a Deontay McRae out there as well. You've got some looks that you can give to opposing teams, and you can throw different guys out there down after down, situation after situation. So for me, when you're looking at a toolbox like that, I think Tony White and Terrence Knight can have a lot of fun.
And I hope they have a lot of fun. I love a good defensive line, man, and having another piece like that would certainly set the bar a little bit higher on what they can do. Did y'all see these uniforms that Virginia is going to be bringing? Let's throw them up here.
I remember seeing them back when I was 1 year old.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, so D-Lou, while we were in the production meeting, thought that I was 30 years old or even older than that, maybe potentially, because he says, "Do you remember this happening?" No, I'm 28 years old. This was 30 years ago. I don't think I was even a thought to my mother and father at all. But yeah, Virginia is going to be rocking their throwback uniforms that they wore when they beat the number 2 Seminoles 33-28. And here they are. I feel like this is what they should always wear. These are pretty clean. If you could wear the visors, they'd be even cleaner, but you can't wear that in college football anymore. But here they are. They're trying to go and do everything possible to build up some manifestation to get this upset for Florida State, which is coming in as a top 10 team in the country. Have you been up there in Charlottesville, VZ?
I've been there once for a football game. I was at that 2019 game. And then I've been there twice for basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 or 3 times.
Okay. What's what kind of stadium were we thinking right here? What kind of environment were we thinking?
It's a nice campus, beautiful campus. I even drove through there when I was touring colleges back in high school. Really nice campus. The stadium's pretty cool. It might get a little loud. The basketball crowd is kind of sleepy because the Virginia crowd is just an older crowd in general.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not really much excitement at Virginia basketball games, but for a football game with a top 10 team coming in, obviously they're recognizing that team 30 years ago where Florida State came in. That was their first ever ACC loss was in that game. I wouldn't be surprised if this one's a little rowdier, but I wouldn't expect anything crazy from a Virginia crowd, to be honest.
I did see Virginia not canceling classes on Friday, apparently, before the Florida State game.
Tells you everything.
Oh, they're not canceling. Not focused. Not focused. Not a football school. Then not a football school. I don't know if Florida State would be able to do that either.
It's a lacrosse school.
Lacrosse school, not focused at all. Did y'all also see the Virginia defender? We put this out on NoleGameday.com, but Virginia defensive tackle Jason Hammond says this is a personal game for him against FSU. End quote. He says, "I was actually a guy who was told I was too small by Florida State. So for me, this one's a little personal." Okay. Thoughts on that one, gentlemen? Looks like we could have some fun there in the trenches between Florida State's offensive line and Pettibone and Hammond here. Too small. Odell said he was too small.
I'm thinking more of maybe some Hammond and some Micah Pettis. Think back to what Pettis was doing on top of some of those Alabama defenders. Could be rough. How much size are we talking here? That'll give me a better indication.
Well, right now he's 6'2", 295.
Oh, well, it's not that small.
But let's see if we can find his recruiting profile. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what his size was in high school here. But hey, it's always good to have a little something to go into the game and get you a little bit more amped up.
I mean, as a prospect, he was listed as 6'1", 291 out of St. Thomas Aquinas. That doesn't seem too small.
Too short, maybe?
Yeah, maybe Odell didn't like that.
I mean, those recruiting profiles, you never know if they're fully legit. They can be a little overinflated. You got the prospect saying, yeah, I'm 6'1", 290.
I don't know. But hey, you know what? It's a top 10 team coming in. It's a Friday night. If you want to add a little bit more juice to yourself to get yourself fired up, then go right ahead and do it. I'm all about it. But yeah, good stuff there from him.
Doesn't look like Miami or Florida were on that offer sheet either, though.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
I hope the first time he gets pancakes, and I do say the first time because it's probably going to happen multiple times. I hope the first time he gets pancakes, someone says, yeah, you're too small.
Jeez. All right, well, let's say it's all right. Micah Pettis, and he just whispers, you small boy. Too small. But hey, what we do need to do, though, is make some picks. We got some picks to make, and this time, finally, we get to jump into some sleeper picks between Florida State and Virginia. We were able to make some for the Alabama game. We crushed that. We're about to crush it again over here. And shout out to our friends over at Sleeper for making this possible for us. Let's go ahead and jump into those picks right now. Here we go. Florida State. Gavin Sawchuk is up here high. A lot of people are placing their picks on Gavin Sawchuk to get an anytime touchdown, and
they scored.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the way that man has been running, I'm all about it. I feel like they'd be running him on goal line.
He's awesome. I love watching him run. He's so much better than I would have expected. Like, obviously, he was a good player at Oklahoma, but you looked at Florida State's deep running back room, and you're like, man, is he really going to get that many carries? He's that guy. He's good.
And he's going to have a chance to get into the end zone in this game. I mean, leading Florida State with 6 total scores through the first 3 games of this 2025 season. And you have to imagine that this game against Virginia probably isn't going to unfold like East Texas A&M and Kent State, where your starters are out before half. And, Roydell Williams not going to be out there for FSU. He wasn't on the depth chart this week. Keziah Holmes did not play last week against Kent State. We haven't heard much on him. That'll be something to watch on the injury report. So Gavin Sawchuk figures to get a ton of touches in this game.
They've got Tommy Castellanos at more of a 173.5 passing yards. Morris is at 235.5 up there. Does that seem high, or does that seem like reasonable? To me, with FSU safety room, Jerry Wilson, this is why it's going to be such a fun game, because we're really going to find out what Florida State's about. And I know we saw them play against Alabama, but it's kind of like you just want to see that consistency reign into a true road game, which is going to be a different kind of atmosphere for them. But 235, we'll keep that there if we're not feeling it too much. Now, this guy right here, Harris for Virginia, is a problem. I mean, I've got him all over my notes whenever we go into our preview here later, but I've got in full caps, must cover number 11, Trell Harris. This guy absolutely lit it up against Stanford this last weekend. They got him at 54.5 on his receiving yards.
Less.
Ooh, wow.
When's the last time a wide receiver 1 went off against Florida State?
That's a good point.
They've been strapped, and this is going back years. Kayshon Boutte, strapped.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams, strapped.
Restrepo,
strapped.
Couldn't even think about him because he didn't get a catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was playing when we were down there. And
Malik Neighbors, strapped. Like,
dang. Are we feeling okay? Hold on. We'll keep that one there.
Less.
You want to lock it in there? All right, Jerry Wilson puts him on straps. It's over. It's locked down. Jerry's on lockdown, baby. Deuce Robinson, 47.5 receiving. I feel like Randy might be a steal here at 18.
Yeah, I like the Randy more.
Would you rather go Randy over Harris?
Why not both?
We could get crazy here and do more than 3 picks.
Let's do it.
Okay, Randy at 18.5. We're going to do the more on that as well. Anything else out here stand out to you, gentlemen? Usman Kroma, he's a 2.43 times on the more there if he gets an anytime touchdown. Samuel Singleton's in there as well. These are, I guess, all anytimes after that.
What are those rush yards looking like?
I really only have, okay. Tommy's
Salt
at 46.
45.5.
We're just going in all on the Chuck.
He had 40 yards on the first play last game. And like I said, I think he's going to get a lot more touches than the previous 2 games.
How much saw can a saw Chuck?
More than
45.5. 46. 46 plus. I like that too. I think that. Oh, okay. So we can only. All right, we got to swap one. Which one would we rather go with?
Touchdown.
Yeah, I'd rather have the touchdown.
Okay, we'll stick with any time there for Sawchuck. I think that's fine right there. I think.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that was a sign.
Yeah, we stick there with.
You're doing too much.
We've got so many promos on here as well. Yeah, give us that. Give us that. We got to do 4 picks on that for our 40% reviews. All right, we'll save that. We'll save that for Saturday, or actually Friday. Right. Yeah, we'll make some picks for Friday night show. So we'll submit that entry.
Gotta have some kind of halftime show.
Yeah, exactly. Entertain the folks, because there's not going to be any other football really happening there. So $5 for 21. If you guys use our code Noles down below, you'll get a 100% match up to $100. So highly suggest you guys go download the Sleeper app. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news, which I get all throughout the day. Definitely when I'm going in and doing my NFL picks as well. They give you updates there, but blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. You can enjoy sports the way that they are meant to together. Download the #1 sports app today. Use promo code Noles down below, and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Shout out to Sleeper. I think we're 1-3 on our picks. We got to get back into the win column, gentlemen, and I think that happens this weekend. I really do.
Well, let's provide some clarification. We're 1-0 and all 3 of us make picks. All the other 3 times.
Yeah, I guess they've been.
It's been 2-2.
Yeah. Okay, so as 3. Yeah, we'll take that. Yeah, as all 3 were undefeated.
Yeah, might as well exactly. That's all we need.
That's all we need. But yeah, shout out to Sleeper. And go and make your picks today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump over to some NFL Noles. Why don't we? I mean, what a start of the season that some of these guys have had. Brian Burns has been an animal so far. I just keep hearing things and watching him as well when I'm over there on NFL Red Zone. But he had a sack against Kansas City, 5 solo tackles and 6 total tackles as well. Brian Burns has had a really good start to the season. Also, too, Russell Wilson getting benched for Jackson Dart. I don't think that's too much of a shocker there, but Jameis is just kind of just hanging out, just doing his thing. Doesn't seem like he's going to get a lot of burn there with Brian Dable. Tough.
Trade the man.
I know, right? We want to see Jameis out there on the field. It's exciting. It's fun. And it'd bring a lot more juice up there than Russell Wilson would. And, we'll see what Jackson Dart can do. But, like you said, Elo, trade the damn man. What are the Bengals going to do, man? Browning ain't going to do nothing for you, but it is the Bengals. They don't like to go out and do too much. Their owner's cheap, so they'll just probably stick with what they have and just piss off their highly touted wide receivers. Go right ahead. I'm a Steelers fan. I don't care. But Derwin James is awesome.
It worked last week, if you ask me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You loved it. You loved every bit of it. You just got to see it firsthand.
Every second
absolute
of it.
slaughtering that your Vikings did on the Bengals. But yeah, they should go after Jameis. And then also too, Derwin James is having a phenomenal 25 phenomenal start to the 2025 season. 12 total tackles against the Denver Broncos, 10 solo tackles, 4 tackles for loss as a safety.
Nuts.
Which is not easy to do as a safety. You're coming all the way down in some blitzes. And then 1 sack as well on Bo Nix. How about Derwin James, gentlemen?
That's wild.
He's a freak.
It's great when he's healthy because he's just so much fun to watch flying around the football field. Glad he's healthy to start the season because he's the best safety in the league when he's healthy. I don't really think there's a debate about it.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Going over to Josh Sweat, who's now with the Arizona Cardinals, as we know previously just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. He had 2 total tackles, 1 sack, and 2 quarterback hits against San Francisco, which San Francisco ended up winning that game. Cardinals almost pulled that one off in San Francisco. And then also to Joshua Farmer, he had 1 tackle for loss against my Steelers as well. Ryan Fitzgerald having a really strong start to his NFL career. He had a total of 12 points scored for the Carolina Panthers this last Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. He went 3 of 3 and had a 57-yard field goal and also got the game ball from the Panthers as well. Great start to Ryan Fitzgerald. Super happy for that man.
Yeah, I saw that 57-yard field goal come through on red zone, and I mean, he absolutely drilled that thing and played a nice role for the Panthers in their shutout of the Falcons. And honestly, offensively for them, he's been one of the few bright spots so far in this 2025 season in Carolina.
Yeah, I was going to say he outscored the Falcons by himself, but everybody on the Panthers outscored the Falcons by themselves. So maybe not as impressive as it could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Dave Canales giving some love to his rookie kicker. And then I know I'm seeing some comments in here. Don't you worry. We're going to get over to them. To Jared Verse. But why don't we? 6 total tackles against the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. The hit that he put on Jalen Hurts
was
crazy, nasty. I don't know how Jalen Hurts survived that, man. I mean, we know how big Jared Verse is. We've seen him in person. We've seen him at practices. We've also seen him in just fully go after people. Not really, you can't go after Jordan Travis in practices, but we've seen what he's done to other people that are 300 pounds. I mean, the way that he moved Julian Armella a few times in practices was just mortifying. It was just very scary. Well, that's just saying.
Is that impressive?
Jalen Hurts is not the size of Julian Armella, so we got to keep it there. But Jared Verse, I don't know how Jalen Hurts survived. I really don't. That was impressive.
Yeah, that's the type of hit you don't want your quarterback taking. I mean, straight from the blind side, huge hit from Jared Verse. It was a really nice game for him against the Eagles, especially, after how everything went in the playoffs last year and that back and forth with Saquon Barkley, where honestly, I mean, he backed it up, Saquon Barkley. He backed it up in the playoffs and did it again on Sunday, even though the Rams came up just short with some crazy plays on special teams by the Eagles.
Yeah, was it you that tweeted that video of it, Logan?
Mm-hmm.
That I saw it, like the Vikings game had gone to a break. I'm like, I'm gonna just check Twitter real quick. I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that was scary. That was violent.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, and once again, man, they get so close. I thought the Rams were going to pull that game off, man. They had it there, and they were rolling, and then Jalen Hurts starts getting the ball going and connects with AJ Brown, and the Rams can't hold on. But I think the Rams will be fine going out throughout the rest of the season with Braden Fisk and Verst. So here's the thing with Trey Benson, who is now going to be the starting
running back. Come on, man.
Well, Kyler Murray, I mean, honestly, maybe you just want to put Trey Benson back there. Anyways, but Trey Benson is now the starting running back after James Conner had an Achilles injury and tear. He's done for the rest of the season, and Trey Benson will now be the solidified starter moving forward. He had 51 total yards on Sunday, 4.2 yards per carry, and it's going to be really intriguing to watch Benson as an RB1 because he was really I would say it was practically 70-30 almost with James Conner as that starting running back, but now he's going to get a majority, if not a lot of all these carries for the Cardinals.
It's a big opportunity for Trey Benson. Showed some flashes last year, but missed a good amount of time due to injuries during his rookie year with the Cardinals. But I mean, so far this season, we've already seen a couple of splash plays. You think back to that big burst he had against the Saints to open the season. And I mean, now, like you said, moving forward for the remainder of this year, I mean, Trey Benson's going to be the starter back there for Arizona, and he's going to get a big look. And the Cardinals are going to get a chance to decide, if they made the right decision by picking them so highly in that 2024 NFL draft. So we'll see if Benson is able to deliver for Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Thursday night football, actually, the Seattle Seahawks visit the Cardinals tomorrow evening. So we will see Trey Benson in prime time as RB1 for Arizona. And then also, too, got to give some love to Kevin Knowles over here, who recorded 3 total tackles, 2 solo tackles as well against the New York Giants. If you guys didn't know, he is with the Kansas City Chiefs, who the Chiefs are having a rough start to the season as well. They just got their first win of the year. But shout out to Kevin Knowles as well, getting some opportunities over there. He was just recently elevated off the practice squad for the Chiefs. So some good stuff there.
Yeah. And I mean, I would think that one's probably a little bit of a surprise. I don't think any of us three necessarily saw him sticking it around in the NFL past maybe the rookie mini camps or early on in training camps. But, Kevin Knowles, I mean, he's carving out a role for himself over there in Kansas City. Like you said, it's gotten elevated off the practice squad a couple of times, and we'll see if he's able to keep it going with the Chiefs. And there's a guy that loves Kevin Knowles.
I am legally not allowed to comment. My lawyer said don't say anything.
Talk to your lawyer or something. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Well,
maybe that explains why Kansas City's 1-2. Okay, I'll mute myself.
Wow, no. We know why. We know why the Kansas City Chiefs, they have nothing on offense. It ain't defense. That offense, I don't know. Is Patrick Mahomes? Let's talk about it right now. What's going on with Patrick Mahomes? I don't necessarily think it's Patrick Mahomes' fault. He's working with a tight end who they rely a whole ton of. That's, I think, maybe 2 feet out the door. I don't even know why he's still playing.
No.
You can definitely tell it's done for him. And they have no wide receiver threat as well. And
that's the
Pacheco's Pacheco. But, I mean, I would still take Patrick Mahomes in a heartbeat. Let's don't be stupid here. Let's don't get silly. But Kansas City Chiefs have some issues, man. They really do.
Can't help when your tight end injures your wide receiver in the first game.
Yeah, no, that was bad.
No running game.
No, that was ugly. Yeah, so we've got some big games coming up this weekend. We've got 2 undefeated teams here in Tampa. The Eagles coming down and playing the Buccaneers, 2 3-0 teams. That is going to be a 1:00 game. You can't flex those games. I would imagine that would have been flexed to a 4:00 slot, but you can't flex those until after week 4. But it's really, to be honest with you, going to be carried on Saturday entertainment-wise for the college football weekend. Which games stand out to you guys the most? Because, I mean, we've got some absolute bangers all across the board. Hopefully things go well for Florida State on Friday night, so then you can just ease yourself into a beautiful Saturday morning, sleep in, and then just get prepared for an awesome slate of football all throughout the day.
Yeah, that's the best part about having a Friday night game is you get to wake up early, watch College Game Day, hopefully not have to worry about anything from the previous night. That'll be a win for Florida State. So you're just going into Saturday with some good vibes and able to watch the rest of the games going on around the country.
Yeah, between the Alabama-Georgia game or the Oregon-Penn State game, there's going to be some fun ones.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that Oregon game because Oregon has obliterated their teams as they should. They already played a ton of people on the same thing as for Penn State. And
Penn State has played nobody.
Nope. And it's always about Franklin. Can he win a big game? And that's something that he's always struggled against. Will he do it on Saturday? And Penn State in a really hostile environment. I don't know, man. That's just one thing that just has always haunted him, and that might just always be the case for James Franklin. I think he's a great coach. They recruit very well, disciplined team. And just when it comes down to these ones, they can't pull it off. They really can't.
Yeah, it's been a consistent theme. So Won't surprise me if Oregon is able to pull that out, even with a new starting quarterback and Dante Moore. This will be a big test for him to see if he's able to step up to the occasion.
Did y'all see the Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating the linebacker?
That's a game. It's a game I'm personally invested in this weekend.
That'll be a good one.
No, yeah. So if you guys didn't know, the girlfriend put it out, made it a hard launch, which hard launch for younger people, I would say, I don't know how to really
official. Made it public.
Practically, you're making it Facebook official.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That is exactly what I was going to say.
There we go. Made it Facebook official and announced that they're dating and who she's dating. Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating an LSU linebacker. And they announced that on game week when LSU goes on the road to Ole Miss. And that game's at 3:30. Like you said, Dustin, I'm very, very, very intrigued for that game as well. We've also got Alabama at Georgia. Now,
Florida State fans should be watching that one closely.
I was going to say, FSU fans should be keeping a very close eye on this because if Alabama does, and let's just say they pull off that upset there, that has got to do very good for them on their resume. I mean, no matter what, if you make the ACC championship, you win, you're in that college football playoff now with 12 teams, but still just for bragging and things that you need to do on social media to, reply back to those Alabama fans that say, hey, now we want to see you. We didn't want to see you week 1, but now we want to see you. You can chirp back and be like, well, we already beat you. So
I also think, if Alabama is able to defeat Georgia or keep it close and, Ty Simpson has a good game, it just kind of reinforces the performance that Florida State had to open the season against Crimson Tide and goes to speak about how good that win actually is and that it wasn't a fluke, that Alabama isn't falling off the radar in 2025. So it'll be one to watch for sure. Crimson Tide going into another road game, and we'll see if they're able to perform a little bit different than they did on August 30th in Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we might be cranking some brewskis on Friday night. We'll see. We've been cranking we've been cranking some on these watch parties, but maybe D-Lo. D-Lo, do you know yet if you're going to be joining us for the Friday night watch party between Florida State and Virginia here on this YouTube channel?
I think it's going to be more of a pop in, pop out type of thing. I don't think it's going to be a consistent 3 hours, but at some point.
I would set the line at 7.5 minutes.
7.5 minutes. No, we're not going to have him in here if he turned his camera off. We don't have time for that action. We'll just go double window. Well, there goes Easy. So
watch it.
No, I would never do that to you, Easy. I would never do that.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, let's get to the game because we've got about 5 minutes until this injury report comes out. I was trying to give us enough time, but we just got to get things going and get straight to this game. Florida State 3-0, number 8 in the country, visiting Virginia on Friday night. First ACC game and first away game. First off, my biggest question for you guys is, what do you think this team is going to look like in their first environment away from home? Because I think that's the biggest question mark overall going into this game because they've proven what they can do so far, but it is a first road game and it's a Friday night. Weird. It's not on a Saturday. How do you think this team is going to show up and play on Friday evening?
We're going to have to see. In my opinion, it's all about focus and mentality, and everything that we've seen from this Florida State team so far, they've approached it the right way with the right mindset, and they've went out there and taken care of business. So even though this is a road game, short week, a Friday night, going over there to Virginia, I think Florida State, they're hoping to come out with the same level of focus that they did those first 3 games. And if they do, they believe the performance will look the same.
Yeah, I'd feel a lot better about this game if it was a natural Saturday 3:30 kick. Not as many wacky things are going to happen. Wacky things happen on ACC Friday night games every single time. You never get a normal ACC Friday night game. And not only that, but it's the game before Miami, who you already know is going to be entering next week's game undefeated as a top 5 team. I don't care what people say. People are going to be thinking about that. It's just natural. This would be your typical, stereotypical trap game. But the way Virginia has looked, especially on offense, it kind of forces teams out of that mindset of this could be a trap game because that offense is playing too well. It's a top 15 offense in most statistical categories. You can't be thinking, oh, we've got Miami next week. Let's save some juice. You got to bring it this weekend or this week. And like I said, ACC Friday night games, nothing is ever normal.
No, it's not. I was going to say, I mean, the biggest thing is you can't look ahead. Don't look ahead. A lot of us have already been doing that. We've been looking ahead for almost ever since Miami's shown that they can play and they want to play football. They want to play hard football, physical football. And so far, staying undefeated that they are and beating Florida, they're in a bye week. I can already see in the comments, we got Miami fans in here. They're ready to go for next Saturday, which is now a 7:30 primetime kickoff. But you can't have that mentality going into this game on Friday night. If you overlook Virginia, then that's going to hurt you in a big time, and you're going to have to be able to respond. And we'll see, because this game, we'll see. I mean, depends. If Florida State, if they start off fast like they've done in these games so far, then you feel pretty comfortable. But if things start steering the other way, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. And we saw Florida State do that when they went down early against Alabama, and the offense was able to get down there and score and then score again. And you saw the defense start to click and figure some things out. And I think that's kind of how this game will go a little bit. Not necessarily saying Virginia will go down there and score right away, but this offense for Virginia does have a chance to, or they do find explosive plays just like Florida State does. Now, to me, I think that works in Florida State's favor, and I tell you why, because Gus Malzahn has been going against Tony White in these practices and these scrimmages. This shouldn't be too much of a shocker from what they're going against on Friday evening, and I think that should be able to put Florida State in a pretty good spot preparation-wise for, let's just say, the defensive side of the ball, which I think is going to have to be the side of the ball that steps up the most on Friday evening, when you've got a good quarterback that Virginia does and some playmakers at wide receiver, eliminating those explosive plays. And Florida State's going to have to rely heavily on that safety room because, like I said, they will go and take those shots, and they're going to have to be very smart and play good assignment football. But I feel very confident in FSU safety room with first Earl Little Jr., who's had a really solid start to the season, and also to Ashland Barker, who has been an absolute breakout player for the Seminoles.
Yeah, I agree. I think starting fast is really key for Florida State on both sides of the ball, just because Virginia, at least the last couple of games, they've been able to generate a lot of offensive success in the first half. Last 3 games, they've scored on their opening possession, and then in 3 of their first 4 games, they put up 28 points in the first half. So, I mean, Florida State's defense is going to have to be ready to go out of the gate, and then if they do surrender some points, the offense is going to need to be in a position to respond. And obviously, Florida State, they haven't dealt with a ton of adversity this season, but I think you can point back, to that first game against Alabama. You give up that touchdown drive. Florida State's offense didn't blink, went right back down the field, scored, and then, continued to stack on points from there. So, the Seminoles have shown that they can respond when negative things can happen. We'll see if they're able to do it again on Friday night if they deal with anything at Virginia.
Yeah, and I know you brought up Charles Harris earlier, who went nuclear last game against Stanford. 4 catches, 145 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's Randy Moss on Thanksgiving all over again. And Chandler Morris, he's been in college for more than half a decade now. This is his 6th year in college football. He's seen a lot of things, and he hasn't been sacked yet this season. He's been pressured 32 times, but he hasn't been sacked. That offensive line is doing enough to keep Chandler Morris in that pocket. Very curious to see if Florida State can be the first team to bring him on the ground. I imagine they will be, but he's had a lot of time back there. He's averaged almost 3 seconds per throw. He's just standing back there and letting it rip. But also, I think, to me, they've got to be able to stop this rushing attack. Virginia, a lot like Florida State, has a deep running back room. They've got 4 running backs with over 100 yards this season, over 140 yards, I should say. 3 of them averaging over 6 yards per carry, and there's Jamari Taylor, who has 300 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's a deep running back room. Florida State's got to be ready for that. Tony White, I'm sure, has been on this defense all week, and this defense is going to need to come ready to play.
Yeah, no, it is going to have to be ready to play and play assignment football. Like, understand where you need to be, and also to these linebackers as well, which I've been pleased to see the play from them to begin the season. Come down, come to the play. You don't wait for it to come to you. You play aggressive, and that has been an immediate sign to me of how Tony White is coaching this defense. All right, so we do have the injury report that was just released at 8 o'clock. We'll pull this up on the screen. This is the first time ever that Florida State has had to put out one of these things before. We also have Virginia as well listed in here. So we'll pick through and see. So we actually have some full on out. This is a report posted on Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. The initial report out is Cam Davis, who we did not see on the depth chart, which is not too much of a shocker there, but we did not see him on the depth chart. Roydell Williams, as we talked about earlier, Demonte Diggs is also listed on here as well. Chase Lofton, there's no shocker there that he's dealing. Mike Norvell talked to us about it earlier in the week that he'd be missing some time in a couple weeks due to most likely a hamstring injury. Over there to questionable is Javon Boggs, Caleb LaValle, who was just first added to the depth chart this week. You got Kevin Wynn on here as questionable going into this game against Virginia, and then probably most likely going to play Tommy Castellanos, Randy Pittman Jr., Keziah Holmes on here expected to play on Friday night, which is a good sign for FSU right now. And your two deep tackle with Jonathan Daniels, your right tackle over there. First initial reactions to this, VZ.
No Squirrel White, not listed whatsoever.
Yeah, nope. Seems like a completely full go. And like I said, I mean, I felt like he could have played this last Saturday, but they played it safe as they should. Obviously did not need to have him out there because there was a young guy named Mekhi Danzy that showed that he also has some speed, electric speed as well. And also, too, has some damn good hands as well. But yeah, no Squirrel White listed on here whatsoever. And to see Randy Pittman being probable is a really good sign that he's going to be a full go as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see I think the most interesting decision there is going to be Javon Boggs. If he doesn't go, I think everybody's pretty fully confident in Mekhi Danzy with what he's shown us. I think that'd be interesting at the very least. There was a lot of hype about Boggs this offseason. He hasn't really gotten a great chance to prove it so far this season, but he hasn't also really needed to, with just how dominant the offense has been, especially in the rushing attack. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. Nothing else here is too surprising for me. You maybe like to see Demonte Diggs out there, but as we mentioned, that defensive line is deep. And if you get Kevin Wynn back, I think that makes up for it.
Yeah, that does fill a hole there for sure. We'll have to monitor and see what's going on with Cam Davis. We'll hopefully get some more answers from Mike Norvell. I guess would have to be, we don't have Mike Norvell, I don't believe, until after the game. I don't think we have him for the rest of the week, so won't get comments on that one as well. And going to be interesting to see if we will get some Caleb LaValle. I don't think you necessarily need to push him and have him play in this game because you were also loaded there in that linebacker room as well. But maybe moving forward throughout the rest of the season, this staff feels very highly on him too. So who was someone that dealt with an injury and suffered it in the spring. But Kevin Wynn is also in there as questionable. I'm expecting hopefully to see the debut of number 55 in there as well. And then going over to Virginia, one that we talked about earlier today and the show is Brady Wilson, who is your starting center for the Cavaliers. He's currently here listed as questionable. We're now just kind of starting to try to figure out how to evaluate what this means. I mean, there's a lot of out right here for Virginia. I mean, they're dealing with a boatload of injuries, but of course, that first one that we wanted to monitor was Brady Wilson at center, D-Lou.
Yep, and he's questionable for the game, so I'm sure Virginia will have him warm up and see how that injury responds and if he is able to get out there and do stuff for them. But like BZ mentioned, I mean, it's really tough to come back from a calf strain. And like I said in the show earlier, I mean, you look at some of these players out for Virginia, a couple of these guys, I mean, potential starters on the offensive line if they were in that lineup, and they have 4 veterans out for this game. They're going to get Ethan Sipe back. We'll see if he does work in at guard at all. That'll probably depend on if Wilson is not at center and they have to shift their right guard over to center. So, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how that Virginia offensive line looks once the game actually kicks off. And I'm sure during pregame, that'll be something that Florida State staff will be monitoring very closely.
Also, a little bit of a sneaky one. I mentioned Virginia's running back room earlier. Noah Vaughn there listed as out. He has, for the season, 22 carries for 170 yards. That's not nothing.
No, not at all. Yeah. Anything, D-Lou? I know that you are getting the post out and getting out there to NoleGameday.com. So if you guys want to go read some more on this and some analysis, definitely go do that when that is published. But we noticed Javon Boggs on here, who was a starter for you at wide receiver for Florida State, as questionable. Didn't really necessarily see anything that went down in that Kent State game with him. Maybe something that lingered after the game or during practices this week, but he was listed on here as questionable. But with you getting Squirrel White back and the the entrance of what Mekhi Danzy has been able to give you offensively in that wide receiver room, it makes you feel a little bit better. But Javon Boggs is listed on here as questionable going into this game.
Yeah, that one a little bit of a surprise because, like you said, don't remember him getting dinged up during the game. So maybe something happened at practice this week. Have to imagine that he'll be pushing to play if he is able to go. I mean, it's a very gritty dude and someone who doesn't have your typical mindset as a true freshman. And then, we'll see with Caleb Lavalle and Kevin Wynn if they're able to get into that lineup. But I think the biggest surprise for me, and VZ brought it up, but Squirrel White, not even on the injury report after not playing last weekend. And I guess maybe that's not a surprise since he was able to be dressed out and in full pads, and he warmed up and did some things prior to that Kent State game, but then they just decided to hold him out. So, yeah, we'll just have to see. But, I mean, overall positive returns for Florida State. We expected Castellanos to play, and everyone in that probable, I mean, they're going to be on the field on Friday night.
100%. What are the keys for Florida State's? And now we will get another injury report real quick. We'll get another injury report tomorrow
Night and 2 hours before kickoff.
Yes. So some of these might shuffle around and change, but make sure you guys stay tuned over. Follow us on the socials at NoleGameday as well, too, down below. Y'all have our ats as well. So we'll keep you guys updated on that front, too. But guys, keys to the offense before we get into some score predictions. What does Florida State on the offensive side of the ball need to do in order to come away with a win? I don't think Gus Malzahn has been too shy. He never has been in his college career to want to put up a lot of points, but this will be a full forced offense that brings back Squirrel White and Randy Pittman, which makes you feel pretty damn good about going into this game. Which, looking at some Virginia film earlier today, there is some flaws on that defensive side of the ball, and I would think just looking at Virginia throughout the season so far and what Florida State has done offensively, there should be some opportunity here for Gus Malzahn to do what he likes to do, and that's put up some points. And a lot of
I don't think it's too tricky here for Florida State. I mean, you're going to want to run the ball at a high level, obviously averaging over 300 yards on the ground per game. And you look over at Virginia, they're allowing just over 100 yards through their first 4 games of the season. So that's going to be a battle to watch. Florida State's offensive front against Virginia's front 7. And if you can continue to have that blocking effort, not only from your offensive line, but with Randy Pittman back in there and what we've seen from some of these wide receivers like Deuce Robinson. I mean, he's been an excellent blocker for Florida State and helping set up some of these long runs. They're going to need that type of effort on offense. And another big one for me is third down conversion rate, because you look at what Florida State's done, especially when the starters are out there. They've been very good on third down for the most part. Number 2 in the country, 24 out of 36 on their third down conversion attempts. That's 66.7%. And then on the flip side, you look over at Virginia. Defensively, they're holding teams to 20.8% on third down, which so far this season, that's 4th in the country. So that'll be big for Florida State to stay alive there and extend drives.
I think really the thing is just play smart football. This offense has been elite so far. They've done exactly what they've set out to do. And they shouldn't want to go too far outside of their comfort zone here. Now, there's going to be some communication issues, more than likely. It's a road game on a Friday night. It's just bound to happen at some point. But how can they minimize those? How can you only get 1 or 2 of those? Avoid those mistakes. No turnovers. That's also going to be massive in this game because Virginia's offense will take advantage of that. Just play smart football. I am curious to see if Gus Malzahn adds just another little innovation here and there because, with Mekhi, the perfect example is Mekhi Danzy. The first 2 games, we only saw him on the jet sweeps pretty much. Then they add the post route. Are they going to add something else for him here in this game just to make the defense think of something else and to keep them on their toes just a little bit? I'm really not too worried about the offense in this game, though. Maybe I should be, but I'm not really.
Yeah, that's where I lean on. I feel like the offense should be able to do what they've been doing in the first 3 games. And just think about how irritating it is as a defensive coordinator to now have to deal with this dude named Mekhi Danzy, who has been a breakout star for the Florida State Seminoles. And you got another speedster with Jalen Lucas. And then you add in Tommy Castellanos. Oh, cool. I got to deal with that. Oh, Gavin Sawchuk. He wants to run right through somebody. Okay, cool. Good deal with that. Oh, Randy Pittman's out on the field. What do I do with him? He's a versatile tight end as well. Oh, crap. Here's Squirrel White. I got to cover this guy. He's probably going to go deep on me. Oh, but what about the other side, though, with Deuce Robinson? It's got to be irritating as hell. And I don't know what they're going to want to do and how they're going to deal with that. And I'm not a defensive coordinator, so I don't have to deal with it whatsoever. But it's going to be really intriguing to see how much of offensive success this team does put up on the road, because it's going to be louder. It's not going to be like Doak Campbell Stadium where it's quiet when they get the ball. I'm interested to see how communication goes. That's always a very important thing, and you're lucky enough to have 3 games at home to be able to build that, but it is going to be different. It's going to be loud, and interested to see how that offensive line talks with each other and calls things out. I do like that Pettibolin is in there. He's a guy with a ton of experience as well. And across the board, you have that as well. I mean, these SEC tackles, they've been in these type of environments. I mean, way louder of environments than what Charlottesville will be giving them. So that's where it gives me a little bit more of a confidence boost there as well. But that communication has to happen with Tommy and the offensive line as well. So, outside of that, it's going to be, it won't be too easy there for Virginia's defenders. Definitely in the secondary, we're watching some games on them. They have some messed up coverages, and they let some wide receivers get down deep, and that's kind of just right in the wheelhouse for a guy like Squirrel White, McKay Danzy, or Deuce Robinson.
And I will add, their defense has not been very good when it comes to tackling through the first 4 games. I mean, a lot of missed tackles on their end, and, they've played Coastal Carolina, NC State, William and Mary, and Stanford, who, is arguably the worst team in the ACC. So they haven't played a high-powered offense like Florida State that, brings so many different athletes at every position to the table. So as much as we're talking about as this is a test for Florida State to go on the road and play Virginia, this is a test for Virginia to play their first real opponent of the 2025 season.
All right, we got to get to some score predictions. Everybody put them down in the chat. I know I am. But make sure you guys put it in the chat as well, as we've already got a handful of you guys putting it in there. And while we were just going through that, I am actually up in my score, D-Lou. Make sure that you get that edited, because I'm editing my message to you right now as we speak.
I was just about to say, Dustin has seen everybody's score prediction. So if he has the same prediction as somebody else, he's cheating.
Yeah, I was going to say I gave him mine a day earlier, as we need to, because the game is a day earlier. So I actually had to put mine in before we got here on the podcast. But I feel confident in mine. I kind of felt this just after watching, which is surprising, but what Virginia in that Stanford game looked like. But I just understand what this offense and what Gus Malzahn are doing so far, and it's just dominating you at the line and what they're able to do with the run game, and they can dominate you throughout 4 quarters on it. No matter if you're 2 deep, 3 deep kind of guy. That's just the success they're having so far. But I think Florida State, with Tony White, you'll see that Virginia will put up a little bit of points here, but they cool things down. I've got Florida State winning this. I had 34-20. I'm going 37-20, adding on a little extra 3 points in there, maybe a little Jake Weinberg field goal as well. But I got the Seminoles starting off 1-0 in conference play.
Okay. All common sense points to Florida State sort of kind of dominating this game. If this was in Tallahassee, I think all of us would have Florida State by probably 25 or 30. Even if this was, like I mentioned earlier, mid-afternoon kickoff on a normal Saturday, Florida State probably wins by multiple scores. ACC Friday night games are weird. I said it earlier. I still think Florida State wins. I'm not too concerned about that, but I do think it's going to be a little bit closer than a lot of people expect. I've got Florida State winning 31-24. I think it's going to be maybe a low possession game. Yeah, these are explosive offenses, but they like to run the football too. So maybe a little bit lower possession than people expect. So I'll say 31-24 with some kind of big juice crier play to seal the game, whether it's a pick, whether it's a forced fumble, a sack, something. Let 28 get redemption for 28 30 years ago.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I may be feeling completely wrong going into this game, but I just don't feel like Florida State has a ton to worry about. I mean, I think back to that game against Alabama, 31-17. Alabama wasn't able to do much running the ball. They have some of the best receivers in the country, and they made some plays here and there. But, I mean, for the most part, Florida State was able to limit things and get them off the field. And then you look at how the Crimson Tide have responded. I mean, Ty Simpson, he's been playing excellent football lately. Florida State, they've got a legit win over a legit opponent. I can't say the same thing about Virginia. So I do think some of their offensive statistics are a little bit inflated. And the biggest thing for me is, like you guys have talked about, Florida State, Miami, couple days away. College game day could be coming to town. That one is looking like it's going to be a heck of a game. Florida State can't afford to overlook this opponent. They need to go out there, take care of business, remain undefeated, secure that college game day trip to Tallahassee and that top 10 matchup against Miami next weekend. And I think they're going to go out there and do that on Friday night and make a Florida statement. So I'm going FSU 41, Virginia 20. Blowout in Charlottesville.
We'll be having a time on Friday night on the live stream if that's
well. You and I will, VZ. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. He doesn't want to crack open a beer, enjoy a good time. He can still have his laptop out. We'll get some pieces out and everything. He don't have to talk the entire time. I was talking for 4 hours straight with that rain, the friggin' lightning strike that happened 20 miles away.
I'm sure you had no trouble.
I had no trouble at all. We got to enjoy Dabo Sweeney's fallout game there. Poor guy, struggle up there in Death Valley. But yeah, we're going to go live Friday night for the game. Come hang out with us if you want to join in. Please do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're still hanging out with us. Over almost 1,000 of you guys across all of our platforms right now. We really, truly appreciate you guys hanging out with us. But if you're here on YouTube specifically, if you're new, smack that like button down below. We go live at least 2 to 3 times throughout the week, and we've got press conference interviews as well from players and Mike Norvell, including also Gus Malzahn and Tony White. So tons of coverage here on the channel, and smacking the like button also helps us get out to more FSU fans to get you guys in here as well to drop in some questions and topics. But all of us on here have Florida State winning this game to go 4-0 on the season. And I think we're in for a pretty fun one to begin the season. What's Dustin shaking his head for?
Terrell saying he needs to go bald. He needs to pull the Will Compton.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure out something. We'll figure out a bet for Dustin's baldness, and then also to VZ's beard. Something out there. Yeah, I wouldn't mind shaving my head because it grows back so fast. But everybody, enjoy the rest of y'all's week. We get to see you in just less than 48 hours, baby. This is nice. Everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.